Hey everyone! Today we're diving deep into promise chaining in JavaScript. By the end of this tutorial, you'll understand how to chain promises to create more readable and maintainable asynchronous code. We'll cover the basics, syntax, practical examples, and best practices. Let's get started. Before we talk about promise chaining, let's understand what a promise is. A promise is an object that represents the eventual completion or failure of an asynchronous operation. It has three states: pending, fulfilled, or rejected. Promises allow you to associate handlers with an asynchronous action's eventual success or failure. This is the foundation of promise chaining. Now, what is promise chaining? It's the process of executing a sequence of asynchronous tasks one after another using promises. Each .then method returns a new promise, which allows you to chain multiple asynchronous operations together. This makes your code more readable than nested callbacks. Error handling is also simplified with the .catch method. Let's see how this works in practice. Let's look at the basic syntax of a promise. Here on your screen, we're creating a new promise. The promise constructor takes a function with two parameters: resolve and reject. Inside this function, we have a set timeout that calls resolve after 1 second. Then we chain a .then method to handle the resolved value. When the promise resolves, it logs success to the console. Now let's see how we can chain promises. Here we have two functions: fetch user data and process user data. The first function fetches user data from an API, and the second function fetches posts for that user. We chain these functions together by calling fetch user data, then chaining process user data, and finally handling the posts data. This creates a clean sequence of asynchronous operations. An important part of promise chaining is error handling. Here we've added a .catch at the end of our chain. If any promise in the chain rejects, the .catch will handle the error. This makes our code more robust by catching any potential errors in the asynchronous operations. Let's see this in a real-world scenario. We're fetching user data, then fetching posts for that user, and finally displaying the posts. This creates a clean flow of data from one operation to the next. The output would be the user's posts displayed in the console. Let's compare callback hell to promise chaining. On the left, you see callback hell, where we have deeply nested callbacks. This makes the code hard to read and maintain. On the right, we have promise chaining with a flat structure. This makes the code much easier to read and maintain. A common mistake when chaining promises is forgetting to return the next promise. Here on the left, we see a common error where we forget to return the promise from process user data. This means the next .then won't receive the expected data. On the right, we correctly return the promise, which ensures the chain continues properly. Here's an important tip. Always remember to return promises in your .then methods. This ensures that the chain continues properly and that each step waits for the previous one to complete. This is crucial for maintaining the correct flow of your asynchronous operations. While we're on the topic of promises, there's another useful method called promise.all. This allows you to run multiple promises in parallel and wait for all of them to complete. Here we're fetching user data and posts at the same time, then handling both results together. This is more efficient than chaining them sequentially. Here's another pro tip. Use promise.all when you need to run multiple asynchronous operations in parallel. This can significantly improve performance by executing operations concurrently rather than sequentially. Just remember that all promises must resolve for promise.all to complete. While we're covering promises, it's worth mentioning that modern JavaScript has async/await syntax. This provides a cleaner way to write asynchronous code that looks more like synchronous code. Here we have an async function that uses await to wait for each promise to resolve. This can make your code more readable, especially for complex asynchronous operations. Let's compare promise chaining to async/await. Promise chaining is more explicit and works well for simple cases. Async/await provides a more readable syntax that's better suited for complex asynchronous flows. The choice between them depends on your specific use case and personal preference. Let's put everything together with a complete promise chain. Here we have two functions, getUser and getPosts. We chain them together by first fetching the user, then using the user ID to fetch posts. We properly handle the posts data and include error handling at the end. This creates a robust asynchronous flow with proper error handling. Here's a final tip. Always include proper error handling in your promise chains. This ensures that any errors are caught and handled appropriately, making your code more robust and reliable. Don't forget to rethrow errors if you need to handle them at a higher level. That's it. You've now learned the fundamentals of promise chaining in JavaScript. You understand how to chain promises, handle errors, and create clean asynchronous flows. Remember to practice these concepts and experiment with different scenarios. If you found this tutorial helpful, please like and subscribe for more JavaScript tutorials. Happy coding!